Hey, Kris, welcome to What's New in Digital. I'm excited to hear your thoughts today.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I'm excited to share as always.
So I know you have a lot to share on AI. So let's dive into the first AI topic you want to debrief with us on.
Okay. So just a tool I've been playing with lately that I like is called addcreative.ai. And you think of it as like Canva on steroids, where in Canva you pick a design and then you modify it. And this one, you basically put in some copy and you put in an image and it throws back 100+ images, all designed different. So now instead of
Hmm.
looking at like fillers, you're looking at your own images and verbiage and all these different configurations to see which ones you think are worth testing out.
Have you deployed this on any campaigns yet?
I have, and those have been the top among the top performing creatives in the
Hmm.
campaign.
So let me make sure I'm hearing this correctly. So typically you hire a designer and maybe you need 10 variations of a creative for a Facebook ad campaign. And
Mhm.
it's going to cost you as the CMO, as a business owner, I'm just going to make this up for easy math, $1,000 for 10 different variations. So with this AI software, you need one image and then it will create, how many did you say? 50?
100 plus.
100.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 10, it has the ability to 10x the output for a fraction of the cost.
Right. And I mean, you're not going to use a lot of them will be similar, so you're not going to
Right.
use all 100, right? And then it also has you can upload like 3 different images, and then you can see all the different images laid
Mm.
out as well. And it even has some AI built in, so you put in your own copy, but if you don't like it, or let's say you just want a placeholder, you can generate the copy from the ad creation section
Mm.
itself and see how the different creative plays out on the page.
What is your thought process then if you get 100 different variations? How do you narrow that down to go, we can actually really only deploy 10 in our Facebook ad campaign because of whether it's budget, all those things. Like because you're not going to deploy most likely 100 unless you have a huge ad spend.
Right. And frankly, they'd be a little too similar. Like 100
Mhm.
that all have the same image and the same copy is way too many. You want to be testing out maybe 3 different just visual components of it. I mean, I guess part of it is I've been doing it 25 years. So when I look
So you just
through,
know.
I kind of have a sense of it. But I would say you're looking for ones that if you're depending on where it's going to be. So let's say I'm just going to say Facebook because we do so much Facebook advertising, but if you're looking through these, you think of it as in the feed, which within a feed are going to pop out more. So whatever's trending in terms of colors, like you kind of want to go against whatever's trending so that yours stands out more. So for instance, if everyone was doing black and white, you'd want to make sure yours had color. Sometimes when everything's color, you want to try a black and white start. Um, you look for the layout of the words, the eye tracking. If you've ever seen those eye tracking images, people typically start in the upper left and they move to the bottom right. So having your CTA in the bottom right, still time over test over test seems to be more effective. So you just kind of look for some of those placements and some of the bases that we know work, and you see what of those cool ads match those fundamentals that
Mhm.
work well for ads.
Do you think it will get to a point where the human is eliminated from even narrowing it from 100 to 10 and somehow it's going to be connected into historical data of your ad performances, creatives that have performed best, and then it will give you then the recommendations of I know you just gave 100, but your campaign goals are high click-through rates, these are the 10 we'd
Mhm.
recommend for you.
Well, it does give you percentage matches depending on your goal. So if you
Oh,
said, oh,
really? Okay.
so it's like, oh, these ones are 99% plus matches, and these ones are like 87% matches. So it is doing some of that already. But I wouldn't, from what I saw, it's good, but I wouldn't let it run it for me yet.
Okay.
Um, I I also think it's not great at catching some. I know you'd think spelling errors wouldn't be an issue, but if you think there's some words within our own, that we, names of things that we've made up that it doesn't know if it's spelled correctly or not. So there's just like a human eye going over it is important for things like that too.
Yeah. What is tip number 2?
So tip number 2 is more AI stuff. And one thing I'm having so much fun playing with is really personalizing the AI thing that I'm using. So for instance, there's external personalization where you use AI to personalize messages and things like that. But I use Midjourney a lot for images. And one thing I'm finding is now I can create my own voice, if you will, for the images, so that when I ask for something, it already knows enough about me that it's giving me images that are like nailing it every time, as opposed to me having to put in like a huge lengthy prompt every time. And I'm seeing this across the board, that companies are starting to use AI to program AI to have that particular voice, or to have a sales bot, or to have a customer service chat bot, things like this. So it's just getting much more ingrained in the processes for both marketing, sales and marketing, and customer service. Those things are so overlapped, right? Your customer service and marketing need to be a really good team, and your sales and marketing need to be a really good team. That's where good marketing comes from. So
have you experimented with Dolly within ChatGPT 4 now, or are you a Midjourney fan?
So I still like Midjourney better.
Can you share kind of why for you Midjourney is better?
Yeah. Well, for me, Midjourney, I mean, I think anytime you know a tool better than you know another tool, it's easier to get the output that you're looking for. However, that said, and me being aware of that, I still like Midjourney better, because what I've noticed is sort of the detail level on the things that I want to look realistic, that I can use as an ad looking like it's people. It's crisper, and when I want to turn it into something large format, like even for print, it's crisper. It looks more real than Dolly. One thing I love about Dolly is that when you're using it with ChatGPT, like within that, it has so much context that you don't need to retype in. So for example, let's say you're doing some competitive analysis in ChatGPT 4, and it's got all that analysis already. And then you're saying, okay, and can you give me a SWOT analysis on how my product compares to these competitors? And then it goes through and it does that. And let's say there's something you love about it, and you're like, yes, that point that you mentioned, that's my key point. Now, can you please create some images that really showcase that point? So that's a lot of data it has about what you want, that you can instantly see something. But I will still sometimes take that image, put that image into Midjourney, have it describe the verbiage it used to get that image, and then get a new image from Midjourney, because I think it creates better images.
The improvements of the faces is pretty amazing, because I remember when we experimented around over the summer with the horse client.
Yes.
And how well, I think there was a winner, but some of the other faces were so all over the place, it was unusable.
Hands were actually the worst.
Hands,
thing.
yeah.
Hands were really bad. Now you've got better hands. I mean, it's not perfect all the time, but now it's got different things where you can, in Midjourney, you can take just a section and have it recreate it. So let's say you had
interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome. You just you like drag a little box around whatever you want changed. So
and
let's say
not on Dolly, correct?
No, okay. Just on Midjourney. And it has you can do variations that are like heavily varied, and you can do minor variations. You can change format really easily. So if you want it to be square, or you need a ratio of like 3:2 or 8.5:11, you can zoom out, and you can keep zooming out, which is awesome. So let's say I have this picture of you, but I'm like, oh, I want to get, Andrew in the full context of an office. I could have it keep zooming out, and all your desk and books and everything would show up. So
let's go to tip number 3.
Okay. And this one's not AI, because I figured I can't be AI all the time. Just one of the trends I'm seeing is summits have become so popular, and they're really inundating people's inboxes, that we're starting to see sort of blindness to summits. People sign up for summits and they don't show up, and they don't really watch the replays. So it's kind of looping back around, as it does, to things that are more interactive. So we're like 3-day challenges or more conversational things where the potential client actually has a voice in it versus being something that's talking just at the client without that two-way communication.
Do you see in person making a big comeback, that people would rather just literally go to the conference versus being able to just catch the online version of it?
I haven't seen enough information
Mhm.
on that yet to give you a data-backed answer on that. I mean, I think there's some indicators.
Let's, I want to put in your, so for you, just as Kris as the individual, would you
Yeah.
rather be in person at a conference now heading into 2024, or would you rather watch it from the confines of your comfy couch?
I'll be honest, if it is a conference that I'm truly fascinated by, that I know there's rich data, being there in person and having the networking would
Mhm.
be more valuable to me. If it's something that I'm doing because work's making me go, or like I'm like, oh, maybe, and I know I can just play on my phone and half listen. But if I
Right.
were an employer, I'd want my people in person just for that reason, right? Full attention,
Mhm.
networking, those elements are what makes it really valuable.
So I think that then goes to, in my opinion, at least, if you're going to be putting on one of these in-person events, that it has to be remarkable, because people have gotten really used to the, watch something while you're multitasking and doing something else from
Yeah.
the, from their pajamas.
Yeah.
So I'm actually one last question on this is, if, you thought back to some of those in-person conferences, events that were remarkable, what were some elements of it that made you as an individual want to actually go and attend and be highly engaged throughout the day?
So I think a lot of it has to do with the speakers doing
Mhm.
things to make actionable comments, right? So you're hearing a case study, you're hearing something, and there's enough data backing it that you're like, wow, that is really important data that I have to act on. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to change my nurture campaign, change this because I want
Mhm.
to test that out myself.
So you
And
don't
then
want high level, you don't want top of funnel, very kind of average get you in. You're like, I came for the real content.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I there's a lot of people saying a lot of things, and
Right.
90% of it's total BS. I mean, people say things work or don't, or but they don't. If they don't give you data
Mhm.
to back it up, I'm very skeptical because a lot of people tell one part of a story, which gives you a perception one way, but when
Right.
you see the full picture of the story, it's a totally different story. So I like things that are data backed. If I'm going to put my time, money, and energy into doing something, I want to know it's worth
Mhm.
trying.
Awesome, Kris. Well, thank you so much for your time today and your insights.
You're welcome. Thanks, Andrew.